In this episode of Nightmare Echoes, Eleazar and Stephen cover the 1968 classic Night of the Living Dead. But before we start, I wanted to ask you, the listener, is there a movie you would like us to cover on the podcast? If so, please email us at nightmareechoespod@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at nightmareechoespod, and if you enjoy what you hear, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Enjoy the episode. Hello everybody, welcome back to Nightmare Echoes. I have Stephen with me, and we are covering the 1968 Night of the Living Dead, George A. Romero film, which I love for its re-envisioning of how zombies worked. Because before this, zombies were like this kind of ghouls that were controlled by like a witch or a wizard who was just controlling the undead. This is the first time where they got up and just started eating human flesh. Although they don't really eat brains, so people think of zombies eating brains. That's not George A. Romero's zombies. They just eat flesh. I mean, everything that we love about zombies.
Living flesh.
Right, stemmed from this.
Eat each other's flesh.
Yeah, right. Yeah, living flesh. Yeah, you're completely right.
Animals, too. Animals and humans.
Yeah. That's true.
Creepy.
It had a budget of $112,000, roughly, they think. And it made about $20 million. But because the name changed so many times when they were making it, they forgot to put in a copyright for Night of the Living Dead, and the people making the movie saw hardly any actual income from making it. All that movie went to the studios. It was in the free reign forever, so every VHS, DVD, Blu-ray you've ever bought is probably not going to George A. Romero. But he created a whole franchise. He had a very successful career because of this film, and because it was free to use in any movie in the background. So if you're watching a movie and they're watching Night of the Living Dead, it's because it was free. I think that's wonderful that it brought zombies to life, and we got all these cool zombies because of it. What do you think of the movie?
Well, I wanted to start off with the title.
Yeah.
The Night of the Living Dead. So it's clearly an oxymoron. Living dead. Are they living? Are they dead? Are they undead? It's clever. You know, I wish they would have copyrighted the title and the film and the work, but yeah, it's very clever.
Yeah, and then fights between one of his co-creators. The Living Dead name actually went to somebody else. So when we have movies like Return of the Living Dead, he kept that title, and then George A. Romero got to just use the word dead when he was making other movies. So that's why we have Dawn of the Dead, not Dawn of the Living Dead, and Day of the Dead, because he couldn't use that, right? Which is crazy. Anything you want to say before we kind of ruin this whole movie?
No, there is one thing.
Yeah.
This was actually the first horror movie that I ever watched.
Oh, that's cool.
And I watched it with family members, and yeah, it was interesting. Like, it was eye-opening experience. I don't know what the first horror movie that you watched was, but you know, it's a memorable experience for anyone.
Sure.
If they watch,
I would say
the
first movie I think I remember watching at my grandma's house, and my dad had it on, was Night of the Scarecrow. It came out in 1981, about this guy that was wrongfully killed. A little girl helps him hide in a scarecrow, and he goes around killing people in that scarecrow. But I think he's killed, but brought back somehow, or doesn't really die, not sure, but he goes around killing people with like a pitchfork. That's pretty intense. And then the second movie that I can remember watching is Silver Bullet. My dad showed me that one at a young age. I love that movie.
So did you have nightmares?
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I don't remember them.
I didn't have nightmares from this one. I didn't. I had nightmares from other movies later.
The first scary movie I remember having a nightmare as a child was probably like Friday the 13th Part 3. Like Jason in his hockey mask coming after me. Or Freddy Krueger, when I didn't see those until I was 12. So, and then our friend Edward showed me all those. He had them all on VHS. So I'm sure my parents would not have let me watch those. But, you know, going down the street to Edward's house, he had a massive horror collection, which is amazing.
Edward had some great movies.
He did have some great movies. So we want to go through this movie here. I have to say that it's in black and white. So if you haven't seen it, it's in black and white. Some companies recolorized it later, and that's kind of interesting, but I've always watched it and preferred it in the black and white version. But we start out the movie. We have two siblings, Barbara and Johnny, who are visiting their father's grave. And Johnny's just really annoyed that they have to drive 3 hours to put a grave decoration flowers ornament to honor their father. And that takes 5 minutes, and he's got to drive 3 hours back.
Yeah, so I wanted to say something else about the opening.
Sure.
It opens with discordant music, which I think is like classic horror. Like, it's a little bit spooky. It doesn't something does not seem right. It's discordant, and I thought that was a good touch.
Yeah, interestingly, none of the music was created for this film, because while everybody making this film on a low budget had all these talents, none of them like had experience in making new music. So they used music that had been previously used in other films. They just went to a library to get the music, to secure the music. But it fits the movie.
That's
it
interesting.
Does.
So
yeah. Johnny, again, he claims that he doesn't even remember the face of his father. He doesn't know why they have to drive 6 hours to do it. And Barbara just says it takes 5 minutes. Then when they get there, Johnny's complaining that the ornament they left a year ago isn't there anymore. I'm like, come on, man, those flowers died.
Yeah, but the other part to that is it's sort of creepy because he's bringing a cross, which is not living thing. It's a memorabilia, and there's nothing there from before. So like even if there was some type of token memorial, it's gone, and you have to wonder like, oh, what happened to it? I thought it was interesting that he was, the brother is so hesitant, and he gives the impression he does not want to do this, but he's doing it anyway. And it's strange that they're decorating this grave and their mother is not there either. Anyway, yeah. I caught this because I think that good mothers and parents sort of instill upon us the desire to do good things, even if maybe they're not perfect themselves. So the brother's doing this, even though he doesn't want to and he's hesitant. Anyway, I'm going to share one quick story.
Sure, yeah.
Because I feel like, growing up with my mother, she's a pessimist, and she sometimes acts strangely and says negative things. But one of the things that I got from her is when I'm an adult, sometimes I catch myself doing these things that were taught to me by my mother, whether they're good or bad. And one point, I was driving with my young daughter in a truck past a graveyard that we went past every day. We were driving home past a graveyard, and I said, that's a cemetery where the dead bodies are. And well, not exactly the best thing to tell to a young child like 2 or 3, but it was something my mother would have said, and I didn't even catch that. And then I didn't realize, but my daughter, she was in a car seat and she was looking out the window. And when I said this, she looked up, but because of the positioning of her seat and her vantage point, she only saw a pharmacy building out the window next to the graveyard. And this pharmacy had an interesting architecture, sort of looked like a castle. So she said, oh, that's the scary castle where the dead bodies are. And every time for like the next year that we passed the cemetery going home, she would say, oh, that's a scary castle where the dead bodies are.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Oh yeah, that's funny. Does your mom listen to the podcast?
No. I'm sort of like you. Like I watched movies at Edward's house.
Sure.
And if my parents would have known that I was watching, Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something at Edward's house, they would have not been happy about
that's
that.
Funny. All right. Okay. So while visiting the grave, Johnny reminds her of the time that he jumped out of the bushes and really scared her. And Johnny can tell that she's still scared. So he jokingly starts saying the iconic line, "They're coming for you, Barbara. Ooh, they're coming for you." She's yelling for him to stop it and that he's immature. She calls him ignorant. And then she walks over to the gentleman that's walking to them. She says later to apologize for her brother. But that guy turns out to be our first zombie, which the movie refers to as ghouls. They never say the word zombie in this whole movie. They refer to them as ghouls. And George A. Romero didn't think he was making a zombie movie. He thought he was making a new monster, a new creation, which he sort of did because it's a new take on zombies. And he calls them ghouls the whole time. But that grabs her. And then Johnny, all of a sudden, now he's heroic, even though he was teasing his sister. He obviously cares for his sister because he jumps in, pulls the zombie off. But the zombie throws him down. His head hits a tombstone and he's dead.
I wanted to say something about that death.
Sure.
It seemed like, like he hit his head on a tombstone. There was no blood.
Yeah.
Would someone really have died with that impact?
Yeah.
It's 1 in 1,000 chance.
It seemed weak. Yeah. Well, I mean, it would if it knocks you unconscious because your head hits concrete that hard. It probably knocked him unconscious. So if he was unconscious in the zombie apocalypse, he probably got eaten anyway.
Oh.
Or at least bit while he was unconscious, right?
Would have gotten him. Now, another thing that the brother's complaining about is the time change here, and the fact that the radio went out, and there's some other weird stuff going on where it sort of sets a tone of like uncertainty or suspicion. And one thing about the time zone that I noticed, I was wondering if the author of the playwright was trying to say something about the time change. Maybe if we stop these time changes, like some of the politicians are saying, the zombies will never come.
That's an interesting take. I haven't heard that one. That's cool. I think the radio does come back on before they get out of the car.
It does, and he cuts it off
He cuts
before
it
the
off.
announcer finishes.
Yeah, because
Leaves it
it's trying to warn him. Yeah, like what's going on?
Curious, what is going on?
Yeah. So Barbara gets back to the car running. The zombie grabs a brick and starts using it to break through the window. She realizes that Johnny has the keys. She doesn't have the keys. So she puts it in neutral since it's on a hill and coasts away until she crashes it, but she's far enough away from the zombie that she can run, and she runs into the first house she finds. The front door's locked, but she goes around the back door and she gets in that way. And then
she's in shock too.
The whole movie.
Yeah.
The whole movie, yeah.
Shocked.
She's kind of catatonic.
I do feel like Johnny sort of redeemed himself from teasing his sister with they're coming to get you, Barbara, by defending her against that zombie there.
Oh yeah, he was heroic at that point. Completely. And then in this house we find that the phone doesn't work and there's a bunch of animal heads everywhere on the walls, which is a little creepy factor. Like,
yeah, totally. And the way that they did, or that the cinematography was done with like sort of the zooms and the angles of these dead animal heads on the wall.
Right.
And I noticed something else. Barbara grabbed a knife from the kitchen, which, yeah, okay, so she's in a stranger's house. She just comes in randomly, grabs a knife from the kitchen. If that was your house and you were still there,
sure,
and there's a stranger walking around with a knife, I'd be wondering what was going on.
Sure, I'd be grabbing my nunchucks. Got these big, heavy wooden nunchucks that I would use to defend myself. I'm not gonna lie. So then she goes upstairs. She finds maybe the owner of the house. We're never sure, but there's a dead body upstairs, and so that scares her to run outside. Now it's dark already because of the time change.
Wait, now the body in the house, I noticed something. There's flesh missing from it. Which, I don't know if that's foreshadowing to what the characters find out later, or if it was just a coincidence and they really didn't have meaning behind it. But the flesh missing from the body definitely makes that corpse look creepy.
It does. And it's funny because later on it doesn't match when they're dragging the body. There's more flesh on there at that point than there is at this point, or vice versa, something like that.
Just how much money did they spend on this again?
$114K about of that money's time.
In 68.
Yeah. Because she sees the dead body, she runs outside. It's dark now. She sees the truck's headlights, and this is where Ben shows up. Ben is our main hero of the story, played by Dwayne Jones.
Now, Dwayne Jones, I was reading, first off, I was very impressed that the hero of the movie is a black guy. It's 1968, so imagine this. Civil rights just happened a few years before.
Right.
And here's this guy, and I found out with my reading that he was the first black actor cast into a role that didn't specify that they needed a black actor. So I thought that was really impressive.
Yeah, George A. Romero said when he wrote it down, he wrote it as a white character. But he let anybody audition, and he did the best at auditioning. So all the social commentary that comes from it, which you can't avoid, George A. Romero didn't really mean it, but he values that it's there and it meant a lot to people, and he doesn't allow that at all.
I think it's a really important social statement, if you will.
Yeah, completely.
And the fact that, Ben is sort of he's this black hero, and I feel like he's just dealt with these zombies a few years before civil rights. So he's got it. I want him on my team, though. I do.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
He does a great guy.
He is a big guy.
Great job.
Yeah. So
he's a badass.
Ben runs in. He thinks Barbara lives there. He starts asking her questions about the house. He tries the phone. She's already tried the phone. Ben starts looking for food. And Barbara sees dripping blood from upstairs, and she gets a little bit on her hand. She finally comes to her senses and asks Ben what's happening. And Ben tells her that there's two zombies outside, and that he could take care of them. But he wants to know if she knows if there's more. When Ben goes back outside, there's two that are smashing the truck. Ben is able to finish the two off, and another one starts going towards Barbara. Ben is able to pull him off, and he stabs him through the head with a tire iron. As they fend off another one that's coming, they're able to lock the door. Barbara is just staring at the body, and she takes it and throws it out the back door. Or Ben takes it and throws it out the back door.
Yeah, Barbara's totally in shock still at this point. And,
right.
And as you mentioned, she sort of remains in shock throughout most of the movie.
Right.
I feel like the music here is still discordant. It's really good. at setting the tone and the scene, and then go back to the camera angles and everything that they're doing. I feel like the lighting is good, and the way that they've done the zooming on the characters and what's happening with the zombies, and the angles. There's angles from like the ground and the floor, I noticed, that focus on potential flaws and security of the house when they're working on the next part. Yeah.
It also like puts us off our edge if we're not seeing them from a normal human vantage point. We're seeing things at weird angles. We feel off about it, and we don't know why.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
So Ben starts looking for things to board up the house. He finds a hammer and nails, asks Barbara to help him by finding the longest nails, thus she's still in shock. He's able to remove an interior door between rooms to board it up against the wall of the exterior so that it can be more secure. He takes off wood from anywhere he can, from cabinets, from furniture that doesn't need it, and he's trying to board up the wood.
I noticed that not only is there discordant music at times, but there's this cricket. What's up with the quick cricket? Did you catch that?
No.
The cricket keeps going
That's
off.
cool.
And I'm thinking, a lucky cricket? Is that like foreshadowing they're going to be okay? I don't know. But like while he's trying to like secure the house and Barbara's sitting there in shock, there's this cricket that's constantly...
I wonder if it was just there when they filmed.
It comes back later too.
Yeah, okay, I don't know.
It's creepy.
And then when they find that it's secure enough, they sit down for a little bit, and Ben tells Barbara that he found the truck at a nearby diner and he had to jump in to listen to the radio, and then all of a sudden the ghouls were everywhere around him. He said he saw another vehicle on fire and it crashed right in the diner. It barely missed him. And then when he looked in the diner, he saw 50 or 60 of those things that were just standing there. And he drove away. There were a lot of them that were following him, but he was able to make it to the house. And he pulled over to the house because it had a gas pump, which I think was really interesting. I'd never think of a gas pump being at someone's actual house.
It's sort of a rural area.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if they just... Yeah, like how long does gas last if they truck it in there and it just sits on their property for like a year?
Maybe it's like farming equipment? Like
Yeah,
for it or something? But yeah, that's what I don't know. I mean, it's got to stay potent enough to work, I guess.
Yeah. They're listening to the radio at this point, too. I think... Ben turns on the radio.
Yeah, just in a little bit here. Right after she tells her story. Yeah. So she starts telling her story about her brother, and she gets really hot, right? She's like, it's hot in here, it's hot in here. Then she gets up saying that they need to go get Johnny, and Ben tells her that Johnny's dead, and Barbara hits him. So he hits her right back, smacks her, and knocks her out unconscious. And so he puts her on the couch to rest. And then this is where Ben gets the radio. Yeah.
He turns
so
on
he
the
finds
radio
the broadcast. And the broadcast is saying that they're going to be on the air for 24 hours until the event ends, or 24 hours a day until the event is over. And the facts we learn here is the epidemic is sweeping the nation. Murders are being carried out by unidentified assassins. Murders are happening in cities, suburbs, and rural areas. There's no pattern or reason for the murders. It seems to be sudden explosion of mass homicide. And the broadcast says the witnesses say the assassins look like ordinary people, with some saying they're in some sort of trance.
Yeah, so there's sort of an aura of mystery still here, like assassins. What are they? You know, what's happening here? And the radio also states that if you light fires, that will scare the assassins away. I feel like Ben he's already kind of gathered this because of his previous experience that he described to Barbara. But I feel like he's a pyro expert. He lights one match to light a body on fire and it just burns.
Yeah.
And there's some other strange stuff with the fire.
He makes
He's really good at that.
Torch out of a table leg.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. And when he's going around looking for this equipment, he moves one of the doors and we see that opening for the first time to the cellar. So it's like foreshadowing, like, oh, this door's important.
The camera angle here, too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, back to the cinematography. They zoom in on the fact that... And when I first watched this, they zoom in on the latch and I was like, oh, something's down there. Clearly. You know, they're trying to show that something's down there. Is it zombies? Is it,
right.
What's going on?
While Ben's looking for more equipment, he finds some shoes for Barbara because she lost them in the run earlier. He finds a pump action shotgun with some bullets to go with it. And he gives her the shoes because she wakes up at this time. He's telling her everything, but she still doesn't respond. It's like he says, I don't know if you're hearing me or not.
So if you had a weapon of choice to fight a horde of zombies attacking your house, would you get your nunchucks? Or would you go with a shotgun or a rifle?
Oh, well, if I could do it from upstairs, a rifle would be good. But if I needed more up close, a shot-off shotgun.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to be good at aiming.
If it's
spread, if it's spread rounds, then
choke on there
they're going to hit something. And at least for these zombies, I mean, I guess you got to bash in their head, right? You got to destroy their brains.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, because even a sword, even though like
cut off their head,
Michonne in The Walking Dead is amazing at that. Yeah, but cutting off their heads does not work. I don't think you because I think you have the bastard brains. Maybe the body would stop working.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I
have
do
you seen
like
The Walking Dead?
shotguns. Yeah,
there's a character in The Walking Dead, spoiler alert, that collects heads of zombies that are still like motion, like he keeps them in a fish tank. It's disgusting. So Ben goes upstairs to check out the situation, and he moves the dead body from the stairs to another room. And the radio broadcast updates. It says that murderers in every case are eating flesh, and they are people they kill.
Yeah, the victims are partially devoured by the murderers, the radio says. Killers are eating the flesh of the people they kill.
Barbara sees the two men come out of the basement or the cellar. Barbara screams and Ben comes running over with a shotgun. What's up?
So now we find out there was somebody in the cellar.
Oh, right.
Know, just what was sort of foreshadowed with the shot.
And Ben gets mad at them because he's up here doing all the work. And the older man, whose name is Harry Cooper, runs into the radio and acts like he's going to mess with it, even though it's already tuned to his station.
He's not very cooperative. Mr. Cooper's
not at all.
Horribly not cooperative.
Yeah, and okay, so right here, first social commentary that really sticks here is that Harry cannot take leadership from Ben. And I wonder, is he a man that always has to be in control? Or would he have been more susceptible to being under the leadership of a white man?
I was wondering that. Yeah,
I don't know.
It's an interesting statement.
The way the script was written, the original character was going to be white, and that's how Harry Cooper would have acted anyway. But because this is what we see, a white man not being able to take leadership from a black man. I think it's there. The commentary, the commentary's there.
And so now Harry Cooper's trying to convince everyone that the cellar is the safest place.
Oh yeah, the whole movie.
And Ben and him really get into it about that.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on here. He tries to order around Barbara like he's in charge. Ben tells him that no, I'm in charge up here. You can be in charge of your cellar. He tells him that it's ridiculous to be stuck down there with one exit. Even though, yes, you can defend that exit. If the ghouls got in, then there'd be no escape. But up here, if the ghouls got in, we could retreat to the cellar if we wanted to, or we could escape through another door, because there's multiple exit points from here. Yeah. They fill Ben in on who's downstairs, right? Harry's wife is downstairs. Tom says that his girlfriend Judy's down there, and that Harry's wife and daughter are down there, and Harry's daughter is sick from a run-in earlier with them, although we don't reveal what happened till way later. Yeah. So they go back and forth arguing about what is best for a while. Tom is willing to help Ben continue to board up the doors, and Harry wants to lock them in and say, like, if they don't go down there, they're going to go down the cellar and lock it, and they're not going to be able to come up. And Ben tells him to leave the food, because if he's fighting for things here, he's going to fight for everything, right? He's fighting for the food to defend him. Before Harry goes in to lock himself down there, Tom tells Judy to come up, and his girlfriend comes up there to be with him. And as Harry closes the door and locks himself in, Tom pleads with Harry one last time to say, like, hey man, we could be all up here working together. We could really secure this place. Downstairs we meet Harry's wife, Helen, who was played by his real life wife.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, and that's his real daughter. Like, the girl that plays his daughter is the actor's real daughter.
Wow.
But the daughter's name is Karen. Of course, she'd be a Karen. He tells Helen that yes, all the screaming were people up there, and he didn't want to take any unnecessary risk.
I think Mr. Cooper's more of a Karen.
Yeah, he's a control freak. That's so true. Yeah. Harry says that eventually everyone will see when they're begging to go down there that he's right and they're wrong. And Helen points out that that's really important to him, that he's right and everybody else is wrong. Because I guess she's put up with his crap long enough that she knows that this is like his crap. He tells her about the radio, and she's like, radio? What? And he's just like, we're going upstairs. And he gets all mad because his own wife was like, doesn't want to follow his lead.
They clearly have relationship issues, and Helen even states several things, just mentioning, how they were struggling even before they took this trip. So
right. Helen goes upstairs. She asks Judy if Judy would watch their girl, that her and Harry could go up there and they could work together. And then Tom yells down that they found a television. So Helen gets excited, and then they go upstairs. Judy does go downstairs to watch over Karen. Judy doesn't want to go downstairs, but Tom asks her to do it for him. Helen tells Harry that Barbara's brother was killed, and Harry just complains about the windows. The way they say it in this movie? Or Tom says it that way. The windows. Instead of windows. I think it's hilarious. And he can't decide if they're not boarded up enough, or if he wants them to not be boarded up so much so he can see outside. Because At one point, he's like, they're not boarded enough. And then he's trying to look out, and he's like, how can we see anything with all these boards over them?
He's not cooperative. He doesn't want to be a team player.
He just wants to complain about everything.
Yeah.
So they put 2 chairs together to make a makeshift TV stand, and they turn on the news. They get the TV working. Harry complains there's no sound. Like, give him time, man. And he starts trying to bark orders again, like, hey, mess with the rabbit ears. And Ben is doing it. I swear Ben should have been like, I'm doing it because I want to do it, not because you're telling me to do it. Like, it's so annoying.
You're not the boss of me.
I know, right? As they're listening, Harry's criticizing what they're saying, and Ben tells him to shut up. They report that the first eyewitness reports were discounted because they were so incredible, but science and persistentness, they now know that these are facts. And they add this to that they know that the recently dead have been coming back to life. While they're previously asking people to bunker down, now they're asking them to make it to a list of emergency centers for people to go. So now they want to make that plan. They want to go to one of those emergency centers. Ben tells Tom that they have a truck, but it's out of gas. And Tom's like, oh, but there's a gas tank outside. And Ben's like, I tried it, but it's locked. So they find a set of keys, and they start making a plan on how to get there to gas the truck and go. But apparently the base is 17 miles away, but they think they're going to have medical supplies for Karen.
Now, I think at one point here, we go back out to the zombies eating. They're outside, and you can clearly see that the assassins are looking pretty grotesque and have wounds and rot on their flesh.
Yeah.
One point, one of them looked like it was eating bugs, and the cricket's back.
Yeah.
The cricket comes back.
The cricket's
The noisy
back.
cricket is back. Anyway, I wanted to point out something that Mr. Cooper says when the TV's announcer's making all of these announcements. He says, mass hysteria. What do they think? Think we are imagining this? You know,
Sure.
they're totally living through all of this. And it reminded me of a parallel with something that was happening recently with all of the deaths from COVID, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Clearly there was a virus. It was affecting lots of people. Some people were in denial that it was even causing death, you know. It's like this imagination, like you can't imagine these creepy assassins outside looking like this and eating living flesh. Yeah.
Yeah. So the news gives them a little bit more information. It tells them that cremation is the best way to get rid of the bodies. Soak them in gasoline and burn them immediately. The guy on the news seems kind of cold. He's like, look, I mean, funerals are, yes, great for helping you get over things, but there's no time for that. We just need to burn the bodies.
Yeah, unburied dead victims are coming back to life and seeking human victims. So there's some other creepy things happening here. I caught that some of the chairs are creaking. Barbara, they zoom in on Barbara. They have Barbara in the scene, and she's still looking in shock. Clearly, Helen's trying to reach out to her, and Barbara must have shared something about her brother, that her brother was killed. I was thinking at this point, these dead victims are coming back to life and seeking human victims, and there's a dead body upstairs. And I'm like, what is anybody going to do anything about that dead body upstairs?
Yeah, that's true. To get Judy's help, they asked Judy to find sheets and cut them into thin strips because Tom's going to start making some Molotov cocktails. I have trouble saying that word. And they're going to...
Molotov.
Say it?
Molotov
cocktails. Thank you. They're going to use them. The plan is to get Harry upstairs to throw them at the zombies so they can back away, so they can get to the truck and drive the truck. Ben says he's not actually great at the truck. He just used it because it was there. Tom says that he can drive the truck. He'll be good. Tom does find the keys to the one labeled gas, so... they're going to volunteer to go outside. Harry doesn't want to leave the front door open, but they need to get back in once they come back. And Tom goes to speak to Judy, and they share a touching scene. He says she always has a smile for him, and she really just wants to call her parents, but the phone doesn't work. And Judy also doesn't want him to be the one to go out there to risk his life.
I think at one point around this, the journalism is on the TV and previously the radio. It's just amazing. They're covering so many things. I wish we had journalism like that all the time. But they mentioned that there's radiation from Venus possibly causing the mutation phenomenon crisis.
Yeah.
And so that was the reason that I think that they were mentioning, burn the bodies. But that sort of adds another dynamic to this movie.
Sure, yeah. So earlier they mentioned the satellite had to be shot down. They was doing a return trip from Venus because there was unusually high levels of radiation on it. But I wonder if shooting it down so close to Earth made it spread farther faster because it's all over the continental U.S., right? So if it had hit one area, maybe we would have only had zombies in that one area and spreading, and maybe would have had a better chance to take them out. But because they blew up the satellite and it flew into many pieces, it's all over the continental U.S. right away. It's interesting.
Was it a weather balloon?
No, it was a satellite. Oh, was that a joke?
Sorry, I
I
was
missed
thinking
it.
of the Chinese weather balloon that sort of like hovered and flew over the entire continental U.S. a couple
Oh,
of years back,
I don't
and
remember
they're like,
this.
"Well, let's wait until it's on the East Coast to shoot it down. We're not gonna stop it over in the West."
I don't remember this at all. Oh man, I was probably inside watching movies. All right,
Good for
so
you.
they're finally ready to execute the plan. Tom goes upstairs. They run outside. Tom's throwing the cocktails towards the truck. I swear I thought he was going to hit the truck and ruin the whole plan. He got so close to the truck, but it does back the zombies off. When they get out there, Judy runs out there with him, and Harry closes the door. So now she's stuck out there no matter what. So they tell her to get in the truck. Ben gets in the back. They drive over to the gas can. The key doesn't work. So I thought this was insane. Ben uses the shotgun to shoot off the lock. It's a freaking gas can.
Yeah, gas and fire are not a good combination.
Right. So yeah. So Tom's panicked when he's able to free it, and he must be holding the handle as he goes to the gas tank because he's spraying it everywhere. It sprays on the torch that Ben had put on the floor away from the gas.
And fire again.
Right. Well, he put it away from the gas, but he put it.
Yeah, but it's a little bit close.
And I mean, it was like 4 feet away, but because he trailed the gas over the torch into a straight line onto the tire's truck, the truck's tire.
Brilliant.
It followed that trail, and now the truck's on fire. So Tom gets in. He drives the truck away. They drive it far enough.
Judy's in there.
Judy's still in there.
Yeah.
They get out before they try to get out before it blows up, and Tom does, but Judy's jacket is stuck in her side of the car door. So he goes back in trying to get her to free her jacket, and they blow up. It blows up with them inside it.
Now I want to go back to the house when Tom is about to leave, and Judy was going to stay in the house.
Yeah.
She wasn't going to go with him.
She wasn't part of the plan.
And she felt like that she needed to go, and so that's why she hopped in the truck. And, obviously they're in love. There were a couple things in the house that foreshadowing, I think, what was going to happen. Judy was holding scissors when she was talking to Tom. And then they sort of have this exchange of glances that it's the kind of look that says, I might not see you ever again. And so I think that compelled her to go out into the truck to be with Tom. And obviously we know what happened now.
So now that they're dead, Ben's out there without transportation. He's got to run back to the house with zombies everywhere. When he gets there, Harry Cooper is about to go back in the cellar, but he doesn't want to let them in the front door. Like, he's sealed the front door.
There's fire outside, too, and we can hear the zombies in the background sort of groaning and like they're still scared of the fire. It reminded me of Frankenstein a bit here, to go way back to some of the original horror stories written, and just think about Frankenstein being frightened of fire. I thought that was pretty clever. And then obviously the zombies are eating the flesh of Tom and Judy. There's some scenes there where they're outside away from the fire. And when I first watched this with my family, my uncle came in the room during the scene. It's like, oh, it looks like they're eating chicken. I was like, what?
Well, it's not too far off. They use meat from like the nearby market and combined it with people's leftovers from lunch.
So they were eating chicken.
Yeah, they were just like, they mushed together.
He probably knew that too, and he came in to mess with us kids.
Yeah, could be. Ben has to break open the door to get in. He gives Harry this evil look, and then he works to seal up the door. And then Harry joins him to help him. And after they secure the door, Ben starts punching him in the face, like 3 or 4 times, send him to the floor. Ben picks up Harry, puts him in the chair, telling Harry that he should throw him outside and feed him to those things. We get a scene of the ghouls getting the body parts. Yeah, you just talked about that, right? In addition to the meat from the market and people's leftovers from lunch, they put chocolate sauce all over it.
That was chocolate. It looked like blood.
Yeah, well,
because it was black and white.
Because it was black and white, yeah. Helen and Barbara come up, and Helen's asking about the broadcast. They said she'd be back at 3 a.m., and Harry says that's 10 minutes away, and Barbara's like, I can't tell if she's sarcastic or still just out of it. She's like, oh, 10 minutes? That's not long at all. And then
but the look on her face just says she's not there. Her mind's gone. She's still in shock.
Yeah, and then Ben wants to know how well Helen knows the area, if they were planning to go, what was the nearest town, is like that military base the best place to go. She doesn't know. She tells him how many of those things flipped their car over, and he wonders if they can flip it back. She tells him that it's at least a mile away, though. Barbara gets stuck on this fact that Johnny has her car keys, but they're not talking about her car. They are talking about Helen and Harry's car. But Barbara keeps saying, but Johnny's got the keys. But Johnny's got the keys. It's because that's how. And
she's thinking about
but
their
that,
car.
Yeah, but that makes Ben realize that she had a car. He's like, wait, you had a car? And she's like, you won't be able to start it. Which is too funny. Harry and Helen tell Ben that one of those things grabbed Karen and bit her in the arm. So anybody that's seen zombie movies after this fact knows what's going to happen. But this is the first movie where we're not sure what's going to happen. But Ben is like, oh, that can't be good. What kind of viruses do those things carry? Like, so he had an idea.
Something's going to go on. Ben knows what's going on.
Ben wants to know if she can walk, and they say she's too sick to walk, and Ben says he can carry her to the car himself.
Now, the amazing journalism on the TV continues at this point. And in the background, the TV announcers, he's calling the assassins ghouls.
Yeah.
Also mentions that destroying the brain will basically stop them. And then that the radiation is increasing. At this point, I realized something, though, about the journalism in the movie. They're interviewing and talking to people, and it's daylight, but it's like 3 a.m.
Yes.
It's like, what's the deal there? I think
this
maybe
live
that
broadcast.
Was a fluke.
I think it was a mistake. But yeah, we have a civilian mob led by the sheriff's department and their chief. Apparently he was one of the people working on the film. Because most people that were in this movie were working on the film in another capacity as well, except for the main actors. Like the guy that played Johnny in the beginning was one of the producers of the film.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because they just needed people that were already working. We're already paying you. Can you play this small role? You're going to die soon, so you won't be on the TV that long.
At the community college locally here, they have a course in film financing that you can take, which is, this is quite complicated.
That's cool. In this, the interview was interviewing the chief who's leading this mob of people going around killing zombies. And the news reporter wants to know if they'll be able to wrap it up in 24 hours. And the chief tells them it's a little too early to tell. They're going to work over and in the night. They should be able to get to the next town. By then, they'll be able to meet up with the military, and they'll know whether or not they'll be able to wrap it up that fast. Then they lose power. Ben wants to know if it's the fuse box, but Harry's convinced that the power lines are down. When Ben goes to check, Harry tells Helen that they need to get the gun away from Ben. And Helen's like, haven't you had enough? Like, dude, stop trying to be in charge. Like, Ben has got good ideas. He's being a good leader. I mean, unfortunately, Tom and Judy did just die, but Helen's on Ben's side.
Yeah, Cooper's a coward. He's not only uncooperative, but he's totally showing his.
He's trying to be manipulative. He's not really good at it, though.
He just needs to do the right thing.
Yeah. All right. So outside, we see one of the ghouls picking up a brick, and another one picks up the makeshift torch. Or the same ghoul, I think, picks them both up, right? And then all the ghouls start beating against the walls, trying to break the...
They're coming.
All right, the windows.
The windows. They're hungry.
Yeah, right? Ben and Helen are trying to hold them off, but instead of helping, Harry sees an opportunity and grabs the gun away from Ben. He points it at Ben and tells Helen to get in the cellar. Ben throws some of those pieces of wood at him and then fights the gun away from him. Harry looks like he can't believe Ben would actually point the gun at him, even though he was just pointing the gun at Ben. So furious here. And then Ben wastes no time and shoots Harry. I was a little shocked.
I was too. Like, Ben, why did you shoot him?
Well, I mean...
Cooper was a coward, clearly, and we just wanted him to do the right thing. He was being aggressive and threatened Ben, but it's sort of outside of Ben's character, I think.
Yeah, but he did just hold a gun to him. He did just try to do it to get away from him, to kill him. So, while I was in shock, I think he was justified in it. It's the apocalypse. I mean, the guy tried to kill you once, he's going to try to kill you again, unfortunately. Helen is grabbed by the zombies. They burst through the door, but she's able to escape. Harry makes his way down to the cellar, and things start to get blurry in his vision. He lays down right next to his daughter. Barbara finally gets up to help Helen, who's been grabbed by the ghouls. Helen gets free. She doesn't help Barbara and makes her way down to the cellar, and to see Karen now eating the flesh of her own father. So Karen is now turned into a zombie. Karen starts to go after her mother, and Helen is crying, my poor baby, then falls backwards to the ground, doesn't get up, and Karen grabs a masonry trowel and stabs her mother repeatedly. Upstairs, Ben and Barbara are trying to hold off the ghouls, but Barbara is taken when they break inside the door.
I felt like the audio at this point was incredibly creepy, especially with the scene down there in the cellar where Karen the kid is killing her mom and eating the flesh of her dad. It certainly set the tone.
Well, let us know there's no final girl. That's when, because they just killed off the last girl that was remaining. The ghouls break through the window and Ben starts to back up. He doesn't see the ghoul. Karen is now behind him. Karen grabs him, and he's able to throw her onto the couch and make his way to the cellar and seal himself in there. The ghouls are all inside the house, and they're trying to beat down the door, but they are unable.
Now, in this horde of ghouls attacking the house, we now see Johnny as part of this horde.
Yeah.
and is trying to get in.
I also want to point out that a lot of people, I remember when Walking Dead came out in the first episode, they had a little zombie girl. And people were like, I can't believe they would make a zombie kid like that right away. But looking at the first movie that ever did it, they did a zombie child. It was pretty good.
I had the opportunity to read the comic book
Yeah.
that The Walking Dead was based on. It's
Yeah.
amazing. But
I
yeah,
do like it.
there's a lot more controversial things, if you will, that are in the comic book too.
There's definitely characters that I liked more in the comic book and less in the show, and then vice versa.
True.
Yeah, which is interesting. Downstairs, Ben sees the remains of Harry and shoots him 3 times before he's able to turn. Afterwards, Helen opens up her eyes and he kills her as well. Then we cut to the next morning. There's a helicopter making its way, and the sheriff-led militia is making their way through the area. They're using dogs in the hunt. What's that?
I was wondering at this point, it felt sort of hopeless.
Yeah.
Ben and Barbara remaining. Is all hope lost? Is, what's happening there?
Well, Barbara's dead now.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
The Horde got her.
Yeah.
So it's like, Ben's the last one. And then, going on, it cuts to the daybreak scene.
Yeah, the sheriff is asking the news reporter where he got coffee, and he's like, oh, here, you can have mine. You're working harder than I am. The news reporter probably got to sleep at some point during the night. And then, go ahead.
I wonder if, now, originally, Mr. Cooper was arguing that they should all stay in the cellar. I'm wondering if they would have done better staying in the cellar, but that kid would have probably...
Yeah,
Karen would have got up and probably killed them all.
Let's imagine. Well, maybe not.
Let's just speculate about that.
Sure, this is what I think, though. I think when Karen got up and is obviously a ghoul, Ben would have tried to kill her, and then Mr. Cooper, not having done enough evil things yet, would have been, like, the group might have been on his side, stopping Ben from killing Karen. As that happened, Karen would have probably bitten somebody else, maybe Judy, and then from then, all hell would break loose eventually, as no one wants to kill anybody. The parents would probably die letting Karen eat them. Maybe Tom would kill Karen because she bit Judy, but then he wouldn't be able to kill Judy because he loved Judy. Ben's probably already dead because Karen's parents probably killed him, and in the end, everybody's gonna die.
Yeah, so I don't think that predicament would have been any better. It's an interesting way, but you have to wonder.
It's one of those what if episodes, right? The news reporter, after he gives him the coffee, the chief tells him about 3 hours they'll meet the National Guard. So they're going a little slower than they thought, but they have a pile of numbers that they're doing, and everywhere they make a bonfire of bodies and they start burning them. Ben hears all this. He goes upstairs. He has his gun with him. He sees the militia outside.
Now,
and go ahead.
He hears like the dogs barking and the ruckus outside. But I was wondering, like, they have these dogs. Mm-hmm. Are they drug dogs? Was everybody just smoking weed the whole time?
Yeah, well, what are they sniffing out? You have a good point.
Yeah, what are these dogs doing there? They're sniffing out zombies or survivors, because clearly,
Yeah, they don't do good at it. Right. Yeah, and unfortunately the militia assumes everybody they see is a zombie. When Ben's looked out, he's obviously holding a gun. I don't know any other zombies would be holding guns. They shoot him in the head. I mean, the guy gets a perfect headshot.
It was so sad.
He's killed. Oh, completely. I was shocked at the ending when I first saw it. There's a lot of commentary here, unfortunately, of violence.
I wanted to say something though.
Yeah. In
stark contrast to like 1990s movies stereotypes.
Yeah.
The black guy's the last survivor.
Yeah, but then he's killed.
And that's the saddest part.
Yeah. It's tough. It's hard. Like, I mean, obviously I can't deep dive into the commentary of it. It was not what George A. Romero intended, but it's there. You can look at it. It's definitely got its thing. I mean, it was a militia of good old boys. They saw a black man, they shot him without asking questions, whether he was a zombie or not. And then in the credits, we get the scenes of they were using hooks to like move him like he's cattle, to burn him on the pile. It's really crazy. Yeah.
And they have like photographs or things that look like photographs as sort of artistic, how they're treating the bodies in the end.
Anything else you want to say about the movie?
I liked it, but I'm sort of biased because it was my first horror film.
I get you.
Yeah, I thought it was original, very authentic.
Like we talked about before, George A. Romero continues his movies. Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and more sequels. And then we get Return of the Living Dead and all of those sequels. So they splinter off a lot. But in general, I mean, I do like zombie movies. 28 Days Later is a really good one. Those are more fast zombies.
Yeah. And I like how there's an aura of uncertainty that goes throughout this whole movie. You don't know what's going to happen, even all the way to the end. There's times it's very suspenseful. You have hope, and then it's gone. Like they have this plan. They're going to do something to get out of this, and then it goes horribly wrong, or, and then there's just, your feelings are all over the place when you watch it because you don't know what's going to happen.
All right. Well, I want to tell people thank you for listening. Next week, Margot and I are going to be covering the 2005 film Constantine, starring Keanu Reeves. We will list it as an action horror. And anyway, it's got the devil in it. Come on, you know what I mean? Like, it's horror. Whether it's not, I still love that movie. I'm excited to cover it. But if you want to follow us on Instagram, we're at Nightmare Echoes Pod. If you want to email us, we're at nightmareechoespod@gmail.com. In a few weeks, Stephen will be back, and we're going to be covering Shaun of the Dead. Before that, I think we also have Devil's Backbone that I'm covering with Jesse. So, all right. Hope you get to hear us again. Thanks. Bye.